is bolt. I'm not figuring this screw out now, it's not misfiring on me. I got a 2007 Pontiac G6 in here. It's pulling a p0301, which is a #1 misfire, a p1174, which is a fuel trim code, and a p0420, which is a cat efficiency code, catalytic converter. Usually a p0420 means you need one. I already told this lady she probably needs a cat and a cylinder head, and I'm wrong. Usually whenever you see a p0420, it needs a cat. I did a bunch of messing around on this thing. I did a coil swap. I swapped the 2 coils over. And still pulled a #1 misfire. I did a compression test and a leak down test, and the leak down was really good. So I couldn't figure it out. I graphed out the injector and it was okay. I did a current ramp test, which usually doesn't fail me. When I got this injector tester too, I tested it out. These are about $40. They're pretty cool. They work. You hook up the fuel gauge to your fuel pressure tester port, and you just set this, and then you hit pulse, and you read how far the fuel pressure drops, and it only dropped like 2-3 pounds on the #1 injector versus the one next to it. So yeah, the number 2, 3, and 4, they actually the pressure dropped only 3 pounds more. So there wasn't that much of a restriction on the injector. I pulled the rail out and I actually looked to see what the flow looked like, and the pattern looked pretty good. So I swapped 1 and 2 around, and now I'm getting a #2 misfire. So all this screwing around, I actually just went low tech and just started swapping injectors, and I found the problem. So I cleared the codes on this thing, and I drove it around until all the OBD monitors were complete, and the catalyst completed, and all the monitors completed. And as soon as I sit there and let it idle, or I just get in the car and start it up, it misfires, and it pulls a misfire code, which is it's really odd, you know. So it's only an idle problem. I don't know what's going on with that injector. It ohms out good too, so I'm just going to replace it, and I'm going to run this car, and I'm going to see if the misfire goes away. I'm going to show you how to swap out these injectors and replace an injector anyways, in case you got the same problem. This can happen with the Cavaliers too, because it's the same engine. Same engines are in some other Chevrolets too. Yeah, the way this thing ran, I was positive it had a valve that was just sticking intermittently. I thought it had a sticky valve, and I couldn't be more wrong. It might still have a bad catalytic converter too. I don't know for sure. With codes like that, it's best to just fix this problem and let the person drive it and see if it pulls other codes after she drives it for a while, versus just throwing a bunch of parts at it. I'm pretty sure I nailed it, so we'll see. First thing you got to do, of course, take this cover off. Just take this oil fill cap off and pop the thing off. It's no big deal. She had mice. Look at that. I could have blamed it on the mice. Okay, these things, you pull this gray connector out. I already got it pulled off. I took this mass airflow sensor plug off already. Couple screws here. There's a hole right here. You can see this clamp screw through the hole. Loosen that clamp up. There's a clamp here. This one here too I already popped off. Just push this gray connector back and push this in. That one's got to get unplugged. There's some little things here. Undo those for this mouse-eaten wire loom. I'm just going to kind of push this out of the way. So it's like this. I'll put a little bungee cord on here. I don't want to pull on this too tight. It's kind of really loose. I'm just going to do it just enough to give me some room. There's some little things here. You just push these in and pull these out. Like so. 2 10mm bolts. This just pulls straight out. Just like that. There's a wire down here for the mass sensor, so you can't pull it out too far. There's more little child-proof tabs here. There's a white tab. You pull this all the way up, and then push this in and pull it out. Sometimes these stick really bad. You got to get in here and pull this out, or just keep messing with it a lot, because they're really cheap connectors and they bend, so they don't like to snap out. And then on here there's a metal clip, and you will get gas all over the place if you don't take all of these connectors off. It's going to get drippy. I'm going to just do it like this. There might be fuel pressure in here, so you got to kind of be careful. If you want, you can relieve the fuel pressure by taking this screw, this cap off, and just pushing on here. And you want to be nice to it though, because if you just push down on it, if it's got 50 pounds of pressure in here, it's going to squirt all over the place and make a huge mess all over you and in your eyes and everywhere else. I left it sit for a long time, so there's no pressure in it right now. And I can just pop this out. This is the number 2, and shit, I lost that. Okay, I got lucky, it hit the ground. Here's the cap, or the clip. And then if you look here too, there's a little metal tab right here. And that tab lines up with this groove in the clip, so it's got to line up. So that's so you make sure that the injector's in the right position. But yeah, you can just turn this back and forth and walk it out. This one came out really easy because I already put it in and took it out. And yeah, see, I'm getting gas all over the place. It's dripping down in the throttle body right now. Then I got a new injector. It looks like this, so this comes out of here somehow. So I got to work this out. I just pulled it right out, and it's kind of messy, so I'm going to kind of clean it up a little bit. It's all filthy and dirty. Now when you put these back in, it's always a good idea to lubricate them to make sure everything falls in really nice. I already cleaned all of the holes in the injectors, because I had this off once already, so they're all nice and clean. So I don't have to clean those, but yeah, there's usually always dirt in the holes. You want to get them out and try not to get it in your engine. Try real hard. And yeah, you want to lubricate these. And the way I do it, I use gear oil. Some people use silicone or some kind of oils. I find gear oil works the best. You put gear oil on these injector O-rings, and they slide in just like magic, just a little bit. See, that thing just fell right in. Put a little on here. Stick this back in the hole. Then put this metal clip back on. And the metal clip, there's a groove right here. these two grooves. That's where the clip falls in like this. So you can see the way the other ones are in. Just make sure they all go in the same way. I already gear oiled these, but I'm gonna put some more on here again, and gently stick them back in the hole. Now I'm going to start this thing up and cross my fingers and hope to hell this misfire's gone. When it's idling, it's there, so I'll be able to find it right away with my scan tool. If you look, it says cycles of misfire on my scan tool. It does 100 count. So you got to have so many misfires per 100 count for it to pull a code for a misfire. And right now it says 0. It was so intermittent with number 1 and number 2. Well, number 1 to begin with, and then when I did a swap, an injector swap, it was number 2, but it was really intermittent, and you'd get like 8 to 10 misfires for every 100 count. That's really smooth now. That was a pain in the butt to figure out. So yeah, if you got these 3 codes, it very well might just be an injector that's a little sticky, or I don't know, man. I don't know what's going on with the thing. Maybe it was a little bit plugged up, but I think it was sticking intermittently or something. And like I say, it wasn't showing up on my current ramp either. If you don't have a fancy scan tool like this too, all you got to do is just drive it around and see if it pulls a misfire on a different cylinder or the cylinder you just fixed. So you don't really need anything like this. You just need to drive it. I can feel right now it's really smooth, so it's fixed.